If you've been indoctrinated into the religion of systems thinking, no doubt you've developed an allergy to repetitive manual tasks. But it's easy for us to accept doing manual work if we don't have the right idea about how to scale or automate processes away. What I'm going to do in this video is give you a framework for mapping out your process, identifying bottlenecks, and ultimately adopting a philosophy of continuous improvement so that you can build a well-oiled, scalable machine. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Greg Getter. I'm an entrepreneur and product manager, and I've taken a number of products and processes from small and inefficient to profitable and scalable, depending on the business objective. When I learned about the Toyota production system or lean manufacturing a few years ago, I instantly knew that it was widely applicable to many processes. I'm now a huge believer in applying minimalism and lean to many aspects of business and life. What I'm going to show you today is a simplified version of lean manufacturing. Despite the name, it's not just for physical goods. It's applicable to many different processes, including shipping and manufacturing supply chains, sales and customer service teams, hiring and onboarding, product pipelines with very low variation, such as my bedtime block product, product pipelines with very high variation, such as Yodo One's ad hoc product, and hardware, software, and services in general. This strategy is my hammer, and any repetitive process is a nail. Before we get into this, I need you to be open-minded about how we're going to approach things here. Often when people are designing systems, they think about the end goal and they work backward from there to design a monolithic system. And this is a great thought experiment because you're thinking about how the thing will look at scale. But the problem is this huge monolithic approach is not adaptable to change, it's expensive, and it's not focused on customer outcomes. Instead, I want you to adopt a lean mindset. We're going to take what you have today and continuously make small improvements to your pipeline. I know this is challenging for engineers, but please humor me. I want you to always ask yourself whenever you're faced with a problem, what is the simplest, quickest way to resolve this issue? This is how many of the most successful, most scalable products are built. First, they try to ship something. Then they identify the bottlenecks and see what they can improve. And they make these continuous improvements over time. So, let's get right into the workflow. The first thing we're going to do is go through the process a few times and identify every single step. You may need help from your team to identify all the individual steps in the pipeline. Then we're going to use a tool called Kanban to visualize this. The way it works is there are several columns. You have one column for every single step of the pipeline, plus you have a column for backlog or work that is yet to be done, and a column for done, which is work that's completed. Once you have the steps laid out, you're going to add cards to the backlog. Each card represents a single unit of work. So for example, if you have a sub shop, you're going to represent each customer's order with a single card. The idea behind Kanban is that you move the cards through the steps when the individual unit of work is moving. So it's a visualization of all of the work in your system. Before we move on, I want to talk about the two most popular ways to do Kanban. The first way is to use Post-it notes and stick them to a wall. And the second way is to use the software program Trello. But if you want to future-proof your work, I strongly suggest checking out Airtable and its Kanban view. There is a steeper learning curve, but Airtable will let you facilitate automations more easily, and it will allow you to be much more organized. So I strongly suggest checking it out. As you keep tracking your work to be done and work in progress, inevitably you're going to notice that certain steps have cards that pile up. The step with the most cards at any given time is known as the bottleneck. Now you might have several steps with a lot of cards piling up. That's okay, we just want to pick the step that has the most cards right now. Now that you've identified the bottleneck, what you need to do is figure out how you can improve that step. Sure, it might just be resource constrained, but I really want you to first think about how you can make that step more efficient or how you could even apply automation to that step, even if you don't technically know exactly how. How you improve that step is really going to depend on the nature of the step. If it's a computer task, you might be able to use a no-code automation tool like Zapier or Integromat, or you might need to hire a programmer. If it's a physical task, you might need to consult with your team and brainstorm ways that you could make that task more efficient before you start adding resources to the problem. If automation is going to take a while to implement, you may opt to add more resources in the interim. Once you've relieved the bottleneck, keep watching your Kanban board because inevitably you're going to find a new step where cards are piling up. This is your new bottleneck. And all you have to do is keep applying steps 2 and 3 every time you discover a bottleneck. The side effect of this process visualization and bottleneck smashing is that you have a system that's much more scalable. That means that you'll be able to take more work orders into your backlog, process more work through the system more efficiently, and ultimately make more money. Toyota, who pioneered the system that I demonstrated here, was and is the industry leader in quality and scale. They embody a philosophy of continuous improvement. But what I just demonstrated is only a very simplified version of the Toyota production system, and you would do well to learn more about it. What I would suggest is that you could just read one of these 3 books and you'll be all set. So with that said, I want to say thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.